All right, let's dive into something that might sound a little out there at first. We're going to explore a philosophy that comes from a place of deep, maybe even surprising empathy. It's this idea of the compassion, of never being born. So let's just get right to the heart of it with a big question. Is it really a gift to be born? I mean, think about it. This question really makes you stop and reconsider one of the most basic assumptions we have about life itself.
Okay, to wrap our heads around this, let's try a little thought experiment. Picture the planet Mars, right? It's empty. Now, do we feel sad for all the Martians who are missing out on a beautiful sunset? Of course not, because there's nobody there to miss it. But what if we discovered a civilization on Mars and they were trapped in what some have called a penitentiary of just pointless suffering? Our reaction would be totally different, right? We'd feel this immense pity, and that difference, right there, is absolutely key. Okay, let's bring this idea from Mars right down to Earth, maybe even to a kitchen table. Picture a couple, just talking. They're looking at the world, the news, all the chaos, and they use this word to describe it, combustible. And they ask themselves a really tough question. Is it actually right to bring a child into a world like this? A world where suffering isn't just a maybe, it's a guarantee.
And that kind of question, well, that's what leads us to this philosophy called anti-natalism. So what is it? Basically, it's the philosophical view that says, hey, maybe birth has a negative value. It argues that for ethical reasons, we should probably stop having kids. And it's super important to be clear here, this isn't about ending lives that already exist. Not at all. It's all about questioning the act of creating new ones in the first place.
So you might be wondering, how does this gut feeling turn into a real logical argument? Well, the core of it comes from the philosopher David Benatar, and it's called the Asymmetry Argument. Okay, let's break this down. It really comes down to two scenarios. Scenario A, someone exists. Pretty simple, right? Pain is bad. The absence of pain? Well, that's good. We can all agree on that. But now look at scenario B, someone never exists. In this case, the absence of pain is still good, but here's the twist. The absence of pleasure isn't bad. It's just neutral. Why? Because there's no one there to be deprived of it in the first place. And that's really the whole crux of the argument. You see, the absence of pleasure doesn't count as a loss if there's no one there to feel that loss. So by not being born, a potential person doesn't actually miss out on joy, but they are absolutely 100% guaranteed to be spared from every single bit of suffering. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking right now. Hold on a second. My life is good. It's not all pain and suffering. And you know what? That is a completely normal, natural reaction. So let's dig into why pretty much everyone's initial reaction is to disagree with this. Well, a big part of the explanation comes down to a psychological bias called the Pollyanna principle. It's this tendency we all have where our brains are just wired to remember the pleasant stuff more than the unpleasant stuff. We look at our past, our present, even our future through these kind of rose-colored glasses. At the end of the day, evolution has pretty much hardwired us to survive, right? And to do that, we're kind of programmed to, well, to delude ourselves just a little bit. Our brains are pros at glossing over the negative stuff and convincing us that life is a much better deal than it might objectively be. Because, let's be honest, thinking about the alternative is, as the source puts it, a bit too heavy to process on a Tuesday morning. And all of this brings us to a really surprising twist, a reframing of what this philosophy is really all about. And honestly, this might be the most important part of this whole discussion. You see, it is so easy to hear this and think it comes from a place of misanthropy, just a deep hatred for people. But the truth of the philosophy is the complete opposite. It's actually born from a profound sense of pity and compassion. So the goal here isn't to be a downer or to condemn humanity. Not at all. The motivation is actually this desire to relieve the burden of life before it even begins. It's about stopping suffering right at the source. And this takes us right back to where we started, with that powerful idea from the Mars thought experiment. The argument goes that maybe, just maybe, the ultimate act of mercy is protecting someone from what was called the penitentiary of life, by simply letting them stay in the peace of never having existed at all. So, we're left with this really challenging question, aren't we? Is staying unborn the ultimate form of mercy? Or are the joys and pleasures of life worth the guaranteed price of admission, which is pain? It's definitely a heavy one to think about.